Welcome to the Movement Driven Podcast with Dr. Greg Goldberger, where we help you bridge the gap between pain and performance. Each week, we'll share strategies, insights, and real-life applications to help you keep moving and stay driven. Now, let's get into this week's episode of the Movement Driven Podcast. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Movement Driven Podcast. I'm Dara here with Dr. Greg. How are you doing today?
I am well. What's up, guys? How are you, Dara?
Doing good. I am excited about the topic today, specifically as a CrossFitter who is constantly doing movements like this. And also, you know, I think I've talked about my neck stuff that we've been working through on the podcast before. So this one is a little selfishly for me, but also for the other people that can relate to it in our audience. Why shoulders hurt every time you reach overhead. So let's talk about that. The common causes of these specifically overhead shoulder movements, the pain, rotator cuff irritation, impingement, things like that. Like, what does that look like? Why is that happening?
Yeah, so I think, like, already in my head, I'm kind of breaking down where I think the tissue injury is based off where you're feeling the pain in that overhead movement. So let's just kind of think about a standard dumbbell shoulder press. Let's let everybody listening, that's the kind of exercise I'm thinking of right now. If we're going to do a shoulder press and we're holding those dumbbells at our shoulders, then when my elbow gets around shoulder height, if that's where the majority of somebody's pain in, when most of the time we're thinking some sort of rotator cuff involvement, either a very minor partial tear if you're still able to do the lift, or some type of tendinopathy, you know, chronic tendonitis type thing. Versus if we're getting the pain in that same, like, front of the shoulder, top of that shoulder joint, right where your t-shirt seam would be, if we're getting that pain at the top of the motion, then I'm thinking it's more of like a mobility restriction, or the shoulder blade, which we'll talk about a little more in detail, isn't moving well. Or we're getting some type of true impingement, which can still be rotator cuff involvement, because when we have impingement, we're basically compressing the area in which your main rotator cuff muscle is operating. But I'm not necessarily thinking we have a partial tear or a weakness through the tendon structure. It's just getting pinched because of a mobility restriction and things tightening at the end range of that press. So that's kind of the two most common areas of pain. I would say the third is sometimes people will get pain in the back of the shoulder, but we'll kind of save that for another episode because it's different tissues. So today we're kind of talking about the rotator cuff tendon, why it's hurting, what kind of injury might be occurring within that tendon based off when you're feeling pain in your overhead movement.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've heard that, you know, the shoulder is a team sport joint. What does that mean?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Shoulder, I would describe as, like, in terms of our major joints in our body that are moving our limbs around, you know, our big ball and socket joints that we all learned in, third grade? I don't know.
Maybe you were learning it in third grade.
I remember learning that stuff. I remember learning ball and socket and hinge joint, maybe fifth grade. I don't know. Was it not? I didn't think I came from a good school.
I'm laughing because this is what you ended up doing for a living. So
I remember
pay attention to that.
You know, that's so interesting that you say that. That's cool. I'm doing what I was meant to do, Dara. Look at that. That's cool. All right, back to the topic.
I'll keep you on track. This is what I was meant to do.
You'll get me into nostalgia now. Yeah. Okay, so that team sport analogy, I think, makes a lot of sense. So back to what I was saying, like, out of our joints, I would say that the shoulder joint is definitely the most complex. The other joints have a kind of solid foundation, or at least a partner of equal stability, i.e., if we're talking about this hip joint, very stable pelvis connected to the spine, and then we have a very mobile ball in that socket. But when you compare it to the shoulder joint, the socket, which is the shoulder blade, is super mobile in itself. And I say that it should be mobile, but I say that because there's no, like, structural stability. This pelvis, in contrast, has a lot of really strong ligament attachments to the sacrum, which then connects to the entire spine. Then we have a lot of muscular attachments overlaying that. versus the shoulder blade is this thing that just has a couple of ligamentous attachments around the clavicle area up top. And then the rest is, it's just like this trapeze artist that's suspended by 17 different muscles attaching to spine and rib and clavicle and humerus and all of these different other places. So when we move the shoulder joint and we lift overhead, we need that mobility to come into play from the shoulder blade. That shoulder blade has to rotate up and out so that I have full range of motion. So for those of you that, well, we're not on camera the whole podcast, so I am holding my hand straight up overhead. For me to accomplish that task, 2/3 of that motion is coming from the ball and socket joint of the ball rotating inside of the socket. But 1/3 of that is the rotation of my shoulder blade rotating around my rib cage in conjunction with thoracic spine or upper spine extension, which then comes to more of that team sport analogy of, if my rib cage and my thoracic spine are not functioning, then the shoulder blade can't function. If the shoulder blade can function correctly, then the shoulder joint is going to start to get annoyed and something's going to break down.
Yeah.
So when we kind of talk about those two, I mean, really can happen. And if we have instability of that shoulder blade, it's going to put more stress on that rotator cuff tendon. And we're going to have maybe unwanted stress in that middle range of elbow passing shoulder in that press. Versus when I'm overhead, if that shoulder blade is not rotating well and I don't have adequate mobility and upward rotation of that shoulder blade, or I have neck and trap and all these other muscles, if I have neck issues on top of it, it's restricting the rotation of that shoulder blade. Then at the top of my motion, now I'm pinching or impinging upon some of those same tissues, and I have pain at the top of that motion. So we have to look at the entire team of the T-spine, the rib cage, the scapula, the humerus, and all of the muscles that attach to those, which I should look up, but if I had to give it a guess, like probably 100 plus muscles.
Wow.
Just in one shoulder joint, like at least 75.
That's crazy.
Yeah, or touching something that's moving, because your clavicles move. The clavicle, when you lift overhead, your clavicle is rotating inside of your sternum, which is your breastplate.
Yeah,
you can feel it move. Like, hold it right there where your sternum is.
No, I literally.
Yeah, it's moving. So now we're talking about the sternum. We talk back to ribs. We're talking about breath work is involved. Then we're talking about how many muscles connect rib cage to spine or rib cage to skull, or it's very complex.
Yeah, no,
Sorry for nerding out a little.
No, it's okay. We love it. We love it. So, okay, with all of that in mind, maybe the person's like, oh, well, I don't do the gym thing. I'm not like in the overhead. Like, I don't do that. But let's talk about some everyday triggers. Like, it doesn't have to be that you're snatching or that you're doing a push press overhead. Like, there are other things that,
think about how often you lift overhead just doing a day of household chores or yard work, or, you play with your kids, or you go see your grandkid and you want to lift them up overhead and make them smile. Like you want that shoulder to work.
Yeah.
And so we need to be strong there. I think even though we're not doing it often as maybe somebody who is doing CrossFit and lifting heavy overhead repeatedly, I think what always drives people here isn't the shoulder pain or the whatever pain. It's, well, now I can't do this,
right? And
that means I'm not enjoying life as much,
right?
So I always say I'm not in the business of decreasing your pain. I'm in the business of increasing your quality of life and your ability to function. And pain happens to subside when we do the right things in that way. So I think people kind of know what they're up against, but the shoulder is, like, again, we said how complex it is. It's a very, not sensitive, but it's and not fragile, but it's high risk of being damaged because of all the complexities there. And when one little thing is not moving well, we have that domino effect, and we have to keep that whole team, like you said, strong and working together. So yeah, I think just anything that you're doing overhead around the house, or even certain sleeping postures. A lot of these people don't sleep well at night. So if you're one that's like, my shoulder's really uncomfortable when I sleep on it, So I have to sleep on the other side. And even then, it's like I can't get comfortable. If that's your only symptom right now and it hasn't made it to your workouts or your daily function, it's coming. Sorry.
Yeah.
Just come see us now. Like shoulder pain during sleep means something's going on in that rotator cuff area usually.
Yeah. So you don't have to just deal with it, right? Like you can call
don't
Dr.
have
Greg
to. That's
and we
right.
can help you out with
And
that.
and when you see us early on in the process, it saves you time, it saves you money. We can get you better in just a few visits, honestly, versus if you let it hang around, it's going to take us a little bit more time just because that's the way the body reacts. But yeah, so if you ever have anything, give us a call. 15-minute free discovery calls whenever you like to schedule that. I'd be happy to talk to you and give you my advice on what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can do that by visiting us at movementdriven.com. You can schedule your discovery call right there, or you can call and set up your $79 eval for all of our podcast listeners. And I think this was a great episode, Dr. Greg. I am going to go get some dry needling done, I think.
There you go.
I think that we need to do that.
Who's doing that for you, Nara?
You are.
Oh, okay. Let's get that trap working right.
Yes. All right, y'all. Well, thanks so much, Dr. Greg, and we'll catch you on the next one.
See you guys.
Thanks for tuning in to the Movement Driven Podcast with Dr. Greg Goldberger. Want to see how we're helping people in Jacksonville bridge the gap between pain and performance? Head on over to movementdriven.com. Until next time, keep moving, stay driven.